I felt uneasy as I helped Jimmy to his feet. In the distance, I could hear the wailing of approaching sirens.
Yeah, so why are you helping me?
Because, Jimmy, sometimes the right thing to do doesn't pay, but it still matters. Hey, we gotta move.
Oh. Pain exploded at the back of my head, sharp and cold as steel. The world blurred as I collapsed. The flashlight clattered to the ground, its beam spinning wildly before landing on the ceiling. The world tipped sideways, and then everything went black.
Welcome back to Life's Learning Curve. Storytelling. Our own life stories, full of humor, some cringeworthy moments, and at times, a grander purpose. Did you ever wonder just how you became the person you are today? That's us. Storytelling. Season 7 continues with our host, Paul Hart.
Do you have an inner voice? Imagine this. You're alone. It's thundering, it's raining, it's a nasty night, and you're chasing a lead about a man who faked his own death. And the only help you've got, well, it's a voice. This voice that you're hearing. It's the voice of a mentor who's been deceased for years. That sounds crazy, right? Yeah, well, it should, yeah. But that was my reality. This happened. This case took me to the edge of the law, of logic, to my own sanity even. Add a battered houseboat, stolen insurance money, and a dangerous truth that someone didn't want me or anyone else to uncover. But the strangest part, as I said before, I wasn't alone. My late mentor, I've spoken of often on the podcast, Clay Greger, was right there with me. Or at least his voice was. Now, was this my intuition? My inner voice? Or was Clay still guiding me after his big last flight out? This isn't just a story about fraud and lies. It's about trust, friendship, and the ghosts that we all carry with us.
Life's Learning Curve. Episode 89. Ghosts we carry with us. Stand by.
20 years ago, I found myself in a quirky, sun-soaked town of Key West, Florida, the southernmost point in the United States, and I apprenticed under Clay Greger, the sharp, no-nonsense owner of a video production business / cigar business. Now, this was not just a job for me. It was hands-on. It was unforgiving, an education in storytelling, research, video production, and high-end cigars sometimes. In a place as vibrant as Key West, it was the perfect classroom for me.
See the sun? Just for today, that sun rose only for me. And that's the way I look at it. This is my sun, my day, and I'm going to make the most out of it.
This is Clay, Stogie Studios. Oh, hi, Scott. What? Hold on. Hey, I'll call you back. Come on in, Paul. Mr. Greger? Clay? You wanted to see me?
Wanted to? No. Had to? Absolutely. Sit down, Paul. We need to talk about that mess you called a documentary outline schedule. And when you gonna get that haircut? Oh, the outline? I thought it was thorough.
Thorough? Sure, if by thorough you mean that you listed every irrelevant detail about that documentary subject's breakfast preferences, but forgot the part where she's been double-dipping into insurance policies in 2 states.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Exactly, and that's why you're sitting here with me right now. Look it, rule 1 of this business is don't be counterintuitive. People are like icebergs.
Yeah.
The interesting stuff, it's all under the surface, right?
Yeah.
Look at Paul Hart. Be the best you're best at. You've got potential. I wouldn't waste my time with you if I didn't. But you gotta learn to see the angles, follow the threads. This job isn't about paperwork, it's about people, instincts, trust, or knowing when not to trust. You are not just another clock puncher, Paul. You've got it.
And sales. It's about sales too.
Yes, Asaf.
Okay, Clay, I'll do better. I have to do better.
I know you will, because I'm going to make sure you do. Now, go home, sleep, come back tomorrow. It's not going to be easy, but be ready to learn. We got work to do.
Sure. Okay, Clay.
Sales. It's about sales, you know.
That was then, but now we're back to present day. It's 20 years later, and here I am, still in Key West. This place is not for sissies, though, I have to tell you. For some, it's a paradise, but for others, they come here thinking they're going to find paradise, but it's purgatory. For me, now this is a place where the palm trees dance and the strange feels right at home. Since Clay passed away, I have followed in his footsteps, carving out a life as a documentary filmmaker at Stogie Studios. But without Clay, it's been like someone turned down the volume on my world. The steady rhythm of my life faded, replaced by odd situations and plenty of gaslighting. Then came a video production opportunity, the case of James Jimmy Wells. Last month, I was hired by New York executive producer Robert Sage to create a mini documentary about Jimmy. Here's a man who supposedly died 2 months ago, leaving behind a cashed-out life insurance policy worth big bucks. There had been a great deal of interest from the news feeds online regarding Jimmy Wells. As we researched what had happened and people he knew, and we filmed his story right in Key West where it happened, something strange did happen. As we interviewed people, I saw these breadcrumbs. They began to appear. They were hinting that someone, or maybe even Jimmy himself, was still alive. And it all started with a tip from an anonymous caller. Hello, this is Paul Hart, Stogie Studios.
If you're looking for a ghost, Paul Hart, try Key West Bite Marina, Slip 27, midnight.
Hello? Hello? Ah, right. Because I didn't already have enough to think about. I can't figure this case out. Perfect.
Well, if it isn't the intrepid Paul Hart, you're still talking to yourself, I see. What's next? Consulting a magic 8-ball for your next big move?
Clay, is that... It sounds like you, Clay. Is that you?
In a manner of speaking, yes. Don't look so surprised. You've got work to do. And when are you gonna get that haircut?
Oh, great. I must be losing it. Just when I needed a spectral peanut gallery.
Well, better than no gallery at all. Trust me, my afterlife commentary is the best you're gonna get. Now, quit whining and focus before I start charging you ghost consultant fees. Oh, and I will, you know.
Around midnight, I found myself at Key West Bite Marina, as instructed. Slip 27. It was a still night at the harbor, and except for some fishermen going out for a late-night shrimp run, all was quiet. But it wasn't long before I heard footsteps coming from where I stood at the end of the pier. I could see a shadowy figure entering the pier. He held something in his hand.
Whoa. What's that? Hey, you! Who?
Well, whoever they were, they left this note here. Let's see.
What's it say?
It says,
"Meet me tomorrow at Thomasina's Corner Cafe, 7 a.m. Come alone."
Real original. Come alone. What's next? A newspaper with the eyes cut out?
Oh, come on. I know you're not real. I know it. I know you're a voice in my head. What's going on? Probably too much coffee.
And yet, here you are talking to me. Coffee doesn't make you crazy, Paul, but life sure does. Well, Cuban coffee has a kick.
I woke up that next morning feeling like the sun had risen only for me that day. I grabbed a Cuban coffee from our rendezvous location, Thomasina's Corner Cafe.
Happy Monday. The regular?
Yeah, Thomasina. No one brews up a good Cuban coffee like you.
I saw you coming. I may be closing up the cafe soon.
Really? Are you selling the business?
You gotta keep moving forward.
Yeah, I guess, Thomasina. I'm gonna take a seat today. I'm meeting with someone.
Use the corner booth. It's private and quiet.
Thomasina's Corner Cafe, where conspiracy theories meet scrambled eggs. Just then, a man in sunglasses and a hoodie made eye contact with Thomasina, and then sat down at the back corner booth.
Oh, Jimmy Wells, I presume.
Keep your voice down. You're not supposed to say my name. Are you alone?
Well, Jimmy, as alone as one can be with a ghost in their ear.
What? Listen, I didn't fake my death for fun, Paul. People are after me. Big people. I need my insurance payout to get them to go away for good. But my payout, somebody else got the money pretending to be my benefactor.
And you thought dying was easier than, oh, I don't know, moving?
Classic amateur move, Paul. Always overcomplicate. They always do it. Why take the stairs when you can rappel out the window, right?
Right, I guess. Hey, Jimmy, look, you're lucky I'm not reporting you right now to the police.
You don't get it, Paul. They'll kill me for real if you don't help me get my life insurance money to them.
Help you? Who's they, Jimmy? And why fake your own death instead of going to the police?
The police? You think they're not in on this? It's that Rancham organization out of Brazil. They got reach, Paul. They're untouchable.
Careful, Paul. Look it. If you believe this guy, I got some beachfront property right on the 7 Mile Bridge I can sell you today. Right now.
Jimmy, let's say I believe you. What's the next move? Where are you living right now?
I'm lying low out on Stock Island, next to the Abbott Trail.
Sure, I know the place.
You got to finish that film you're doing on me. That'll eventually track down whoever's got the money. They'll leave me alone if they get to my cash. I think.
I think. Oh yeah, this sounds like a solid plan.
It's raining out.
I sat in my truck outside Thomasina's Corner Cafe.
Why?
Rain clouds had come in for a brief time, and the rain was streaking down the scratched windshield of my truck. It was like tears on a grieving face. Jimmy's plea had played on repeat in my head.
You got to help me, Paul.
Help him? Not turn him in? Either choice felt like stepping off a cliff. And I spoke out loud. My voice was trembling. I was not sure if I was asking Clay or just asking myself.
What do you think? Should I help him? Should I turn him in?
The reply came quickly, as if Clay had been waiting all along.
Well, the real question is, what's your angle? You've got instincts, Paul. Find your state of mind and use it.
Yeah, well, Clay, instincts don't always pay the bills.
Neither does sitting here second-guessing yourself. Get moving before you're part of some cleanup crew.
The engine roared to life as I slammed my truck into gear, and the tires spun a little bit, kicking up some gravel on the wet asphalt before gripping and propelling me down A1A towards Stock Island. Jimmy's hideout wasn't much, a sagging houseboat moored in the shadow of old warehouses. The storm made the creaking boat sound alive. The wind rattled it like a dying breath. The scene with sounds of thunder, waves lapping and creaking wood. I stepped onto the slick deck, gripping my flashlight like a lifeline or like a weapon.
Jimmy! Jimmy, are you here? Jimmy!
Like a soft echo, there was a faint groan from within the boat. The groan sent a shiver up my spine, and my pulse pounded as I pushed open the flimsy door, the flashlight beam cut through the shadows, landing on Jimmy, slumped. His face was bloodied and pale.
Hold on, Jimmy. I'm here.
I yanked that gag from Jimmy's mouth, and I worked at the ropes. My hands were shaking as the storm outside howled louder.
Who did this to you, Jimmy? What happened?
They found me. Took everything. The insurance money. It's gone.
It's gone? Oh, Jimmy, you told me that you never even had that money.
What did I tell you, kid? This guy's about as trustworthy as a weather forecast and a hurricane. Hey, if you believe that, I've still got the 7 Mile Bridge to sell you, if you're still buying.
We gotta get you out of here, Jimmy, now. But no more lies, you're coming clean.
You think coming clean will fix this? You don't understand what she can do.
She? Who are you talking about?
The others, they were just muscle. She's the one pulling the strings.
The fear in Jimmy's eyes wasn't just panic, it was terror. It was deep and it was primal. My stomach nodded. This wasn't just about money anymore.
Here's what I do understand, Jimmy, is that running has only made this all worse. Trust me. I've seen what happens when people let their fear run their lives.
You're starting to sound like me, Paul. Better hope that doesn't rub off too much. Being me didn't end well last time.
I felt uneasy as I helped Jimmy to his feet. In the distance, I could hear the wailing of approaching sirens.
So why are you helping me?
Because, Jimmy, sometimes the right thing to do doesn't pay, but it still matters. Hey, we gotta move.
Pain exploded at the back of my head, sharp and cold as steel. The world blurred as I collapsed. The flashlight clattered to the ground, its beam spinning wildly before landing on the ceiling. The world tipped sideways, and then everything went black. When I came to, my head throbbed like a war drum. The room spun as I tried to focus.
What? Where? Oh.
Still dizzy, I sat there with a blank 1,000-yard stare. What had happened? Jimmy was gone, I could see that, and the ropes he'd been tied, they lay in a heap on the floor, wet with blood. The only sound now was the storm and the groaning boat, but a low chuckle echoed faintly in my ears.
You did good. No, let's hope it was good enough. By the way, it was Thomasina from the cafe. She stole Jimmy's money and gave you that goose egg on your head.
Clay?
Ow.
You're gonna be okay. Now get up and get yourself going. Oh, and get yourself a haircut.
Oh.
I make decisions every day. I don't linger on them. I don't think about them. And I don't act
And then Clay was gone, his voice disappearing into the storm, leaving me alone with the weight of what I'd done and what I hadn't. So what did we learn today? What did Jimmy learn? What did I learn? Well, I can tell you this, that Jimmy disappeared after that, probably on a freighter to the dark side of the Dominican Republic by now. And I had no conclusive ending to my Jimmy Wells documentary. But I can tell you this, thanks to Clay, I survived to live another day. Thomasina's Cafe, well, it was closed down. It was shuttered the next day, and I just steered clear and I asked no questions about that. But I did remember our conversation from that previous day.
Paul, I may be getting out of here soon.
Really? You gonna sell this place?
You gotta keep moving forward.
But the real story here is not about this video, the case as I called it, or the chaos that surrounded it. It was about friendship. The kind of friendship that leaves an imprint. The kind that shapes you. My world is quieter now without Clay around. He wasn't just my mentor. He was the voice that kept me steady, the lens through which I saw the world even when I didn't realize it. Over the years, I'd bounced so many ideas off of him. I relied so much on his skewed humor and sharp insights that they'd become a part of me. So maybe that voice in my head had always been mine. Or maybe, just maybe, it was his. For Life's Learning Curve, I'm Paul Hart. Subscribe to Life's Learning Curve at lifeslearningcurve.org and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Podchaser.
This Season 7 episode of Life's Learning Curve was produced by Sebastian T. Dog and Paul Hart. Find us just about everywhere podcasts are heard. Visit our website, lifeslearningcurve.org. While you're there, subscribe. We'd love to have you aboard. This episode has imaginative voice creations to protect the privacy of others. Some names have been changed and characters conflated. Episode 89, The Ghosts We Carry With Us. For more true stories from our life's archives, you'll find us again right here on Life's Learning Curve.